Hello, I'm Sarah Velasquez, and I'm presenting on why an infographic for library personnel. First, what is an infographic? An infographic is a pictorial representation of either a process, such as how to search a database, an explanation or features of an item, like a website's features on how to do things on it or what it has on it, or something that presents statistics, such as a report for a business group or a project in a classroom. It's a mix of words and graphics that is visually appealing and fun way to tell a story. It makes giving presentations less boring and stagnant. Last of all, it's a modern take on providing graphs and charts to people in presentations instead of just giving them the same old thing. So what are the benefits of an infographic? One of the benefits is that it's very visual. 65% of people are visual learners, some have reported. An infographic is very easy to skim, and it will help somebody to understand information better if they're visual learners. Lastly, it's fun to look at. It's more fun to look at than a chart or a table, and it doesn't have a lot of words, it doesn't have a lot of information they have to read. So it's much more fun to pay attention to. Second of all, it's very trendy. There's been a very significant increase in postings on social networks. For example, Dig reported that the number of postings of infographics on their site increased 250 times since 2007. That's a huge increase of infographic usage. Also, the number of searches that Google reported on the word infographic has increased 800% in the last 2 years. People are really getting into this infographic thing, and they're really starting to think it's really cool. Infographics are also easy to share. You can find them everywhere. They are on websites, they're on social networking sites like Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest. They're on the media like the news, newspapers, newsletters. They're in professional documents like memos and reports and presentations. People are really getting into infographics. They're viral. They get passed around really quickly to people. Every day people pass around on Facebook, on Twitter, etc., and they pass fast. They go quickly. They drive traffic to your website or your Facebook page or wherever the source of your infographic is. Just put a little link or a little information about your organization. They're going to visit it because they're going to think your infographic is cool and they're going to want more information. Lastly, they're worldwide. They can reach people everywhere without you even spending a dime. And they don't even necessarily have to speak the same language as the infographic to understand the information and how it's valuable. A very, very, very important thing about infographics that they're less time consuming. You may think that creating a graphic, if you're not a very artistic person, would be difficult, but in reality, it is a lot easier than slaving over a report or creating a lengthy PowerPoint presentation. And there's no long explanations that you have to slave over, and nothing that has to be perfect in your grammar or your punctuation. So it's a very good tool if you don't want to spend a lot of time conveying some sort of information. How can you use them in your library? They can be used in many ways in libraries. First of all, you can use them to create statistical information for your board of directors or for other libraries or at library conventions to show how you've done something in statistics that have been calculated because of the projects you've done. They can also be used to explain a tool, like how to use a database or how to use a computer or how to use the self-checkout. They can be very helpful in explaining how to use a tool so somebody's not always looking for somebody to help them do that if they don't necessarily want a person to help them. They can also explain a process, like how to search for something, again, how to find something and where something's located. And lastly, they can advertise an event or a special service. You have a special kids group that meets or something like that, and it can explain what that group is, when it meets, where it meets, what's it for, and there you go. Lastly, how do you share infographics in a library? Well, they can be shared on your Facebook page if you have the library Facebook page. They can be included in the emails to patrons, especially if you have emails that you send out reminding them of renewing their library books. They can be published in the library newsletter, and they can be posted on your website. There's a ton of ways that you can distribute them to your patrons. Lastly, where do you find the resources, or how do you make an infographic? Infographics can be made in simple things like Paint. They can be made in PageMaker, if you're familiar with that software, or you can use more sophisticated Adobe products. You can also use PowerPoint to make them. It's not that hard. And there are lots of free online tools you can Google for to find to make infographics. And it's pretty easy to do if you just have a little creativity and use things like free clip art and pictures from your library, things like that. So it's not too difficult to make an infographic. Lastly, what are the lessons that I have learned from making an infographic? Don't make it too big. If you make it too long or too big, especially if you make it too long, when you post it on your Facebook page, people won't be able to see the whole infographic. They'll have to save it to their computer and then look at it that way. That gets cumbersome and it won't be used. Keep a simple theme. Don't put all kinds of weirdness all over the infographic, because then people will get lost and they won't understand what the point is. So keep a theme. Keep it simple and clean. I know that you like it to be pretty, you want it to be exciting, but if you put too many things on there, it's going to confuse people. Have a clear theme and how people are supposed to visualize, go through the information. And lastly, only list the facts. Don't list anything you're unsure about or that you haven't validated, because you want them to make sure that they understand you are a good resource for information. I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.